Hi, my name is Davide and I am Autodesk certified instructor for Maya. In this video I want to show you an introduction to Maya by using May9. What May9 is? May9 is a compilation of script plugins and preferences for Maya 2016. Is a community project, so I have created some elements like preferences and some scripts, and I have taken with the license of their creation the best scripts and plugin from my community. How you can install May9? It's very simple. You can just open the .zip file. You can download the .zip file by following the link in the below of description in the video, and you need to copy this folder in the correct directory based on operating system. You can find the correct directory from the README, and based on your operating system you have the correct path when you can and you want to do install and use it. So I already opened my documents folder, Maya folder. I need to back up the old preferences and click back. Is a great way to do that. And after I do that, just only copy the folder 2016 inside of my document folder. Very good. I want to close this thing a little bit and open up my Maya. The first thing you notice when you're opening May9 inside of Maya 2016 is the slight differences between the user interfaces from the Star Maya and May9. I have added the outliner in the left corner of the interfaces and adding script and user interfaces that load up the script to create new sets, manage the sets directly from the main UI. It is very useful for create group of selection and stuff like that. In this area you can see the channel box. This is a standard feature in Maya. The status line is here, the script line, script editor, and time editor is here. So I try to make the user interface more minimalistic, so give the viewport in the middle of the interfaces, so you can concentrate it to your work instead of see a lot of icons, instead of see a lot of destructive elements. So what Maya is? Maya is a software that lets you create modeling in 3D, effects in 3D, animation, and is used from the industry to modeling, to rigging, to animate, to create film, video game, and so on and so forth. So it is a powerhouse, and it can create something about everything you want to create. What's the different on the usability from the standard Maya? In the standard Maya you have a lot of menu everywhere. This, I think so, as instructor, I think this is very distracting. I have had a way to work in procedurally way. What does mean? For example, now I have no object in the scene, I have an empty scene. If I press Z is the letter to have access to the marquee menu, to the menu to create, modify elements out of Maya. This I call contextual marquee menu. This is created by using MM2Key by Andrea Menisco. You need to keep press Z button and the left mouse button to have access to the ability to use the perspective tools. For example, I want to go to top view, to the side view, to the front view, or come back to the perspective view. You can do that. Of course, I can show you better by creating an object. How you can create an object? I can press Z, I use my middle mouse button, and I have a create menu. From here I can create elements and drive my scene. So go in the polygons, go in the sphere mode, release the middle mouse button, release Z, and click and drag in the viewport to create this kind of elements. So if I press Z again and I press my left mouse button, you see I have no more the marquee menu about the empty selection. Right. So I need to deselect my element. I can use Alt D to or Alt deselect the elements, Alt D in English. And now I can go again at Z, left mouse button, top view, side view, front view, and so on so far, and come back in my perspective view. When I select an object by clicking on it by using left mouse button, I can simply try to make some change to this object by using my Z and left mouse button. So Z left mouse button is a contextual way to interact by selection or not selection. If you are not selection, you have the viewport multi-menu. If you have selection of the current selection multi-menu. So now I can go, for example, on the brushes, sculpt geometry, and I can start to sculpt my sphere or make something like that. But now I have no more need to sculpting, so how I can exit from a tool inside of Maya is very simple. I can press the Q button on my keyboard. So Q button is the quit button, and let me go out of the current selection to the current tool and come back to my selection. So I can press Z, the left mouse button again, and for example I can go inside of my 3D paint tool. From here I can paint on my object, but see, if I try to click and drag, I have an alert, a warning here, so there is no attribute set. So now my need is entering the setup, entering in the option of these tools. I can use this bar, but as you can see, there is a lot of elements. So this is a full preference setting, tool setting for the 3D paint tool, but I think so can be distracting. So look at this. With a tool enable, if I press Z and the middle mouse button, I have the most important command for this tool. For example, what I need to do now is create a texture. As you can see inside of my warning messaging, some surfaces have no texture, are not file texture assigned. So I can press Z, middle mouse button, I can go in the left, assign edit texture, simple windows open up, so I can define my resolution. Sorry for that. And I can set my image format. I want to use a TIFF format, assign edit texture, and now I can simply, very simple, start drawing and painting inside of over this object. Or for example, I can change the color for drawing by using the tool settings, and now it's very simple way to do that. I think this is a very powerful way to work with it. And if we want to use the bump mapping, we want using some texture that's simulating the depth of the surfaces, you can do that too by using a Z, middle mouse button, go under paint bump mapping. I have no texture again, Z again, assign paint texture. I want to assign edit new texture again, and now I can draw my bump mapping, and I think so is a very powerful way to interact with Maya in this fashion. This is very cool. So I can press Q again and quit my tool settings. Okay, great. You now learning how to interact in a contextual way with your Maya. But I want to show you the very basics of the software. This is an introductional video to Maya. So what's the point in 3D modeling, for example? The point is, if I create an object, press Z, middle mouse button, create a sphere, for example. One of the most important way to work is object and component mode. So an object can work in object mode, so I can use all the sphere like a single object, or I can work with its components. I will show you immediately. When you have this kind of wireframe, this gauge around the objects in green, it's object mode. So if I press W let me go inside of the working area, and I can move my objects. or I press E for rotate my object, or I can press R to scale my object. This is an object mode. But if I want to go inside and using the components, for example, what are the components of a poly object? The edge, the vertex, and the faces are my objects, so I can press my Z one time and release, and I have now a contextual hotkey. So this let me go in the more common command for these elements. So press Z and I have access to my component mode. And I can press W and I dragging my elements. As you can see now, I can moving along the way my object. Very great. But as you can see, I continue to have the whole texture, so I want to create a new scene. How I can create a new scene? I can use Ctrl and N, the ending of new, Ctrl N, and you can have create a new scene. When I have a new scene, Z, middle mouse button, I can create a sphere. So we can try to do something like that now. Press Z to the entering in component mode. Press my faces, W for the move tools, and I can move my tool, my elements. But I want to using a symmetry. I want to symmetrize my modeling. So if I'm moving these elements in this direction, I want the same elements, but in the opposite side of the object moving in the opposite direction. So how I can do that? Because I'm using a contextual way to work, I can press W to have entering into the translate mode. But if I press Z and middle mouse button, I have contextual commands for the tools. So if you remember, Z and the left mouse button give you the contextual object way to do that. So I have the contextual object. In this case, I have a marquee menu for the face, but if I press Z and middle mouse button, I have access to the tool marquee menu. So from here, I can, for example, enable the symmetry. I want to symmetrize my object for the x-axis. So symmetry, select x-axis, enable symmetry, and now if I move that along x-axis, the corresponding elements on the other way, on the other side, move with that. Another thing I want to sometime is moving along the face normal. What face normal is the direction on the face pointing out. So I can press Z, middle mouse button, and I can want to use my selection based on the orient toggle. So I want to enable my orient toggle to entering in my component. Sorry, in my normal translate mode. So from here I can select my elements and now I can drag it to this direction. Another thing I want to do sometimes is using the soft selection. So I press B like bump inside of my keyboard. If I press B and now dragging, you can see I have soft selection. If I continue to press B and use my left mouse button, I have a different radius for soft selection. And if I press B and middle mouse button, I can reset the diameter and restart the diameter from the 0. I think so. This is very, very powerful. When I have end to working with my translate tool and my component mode, I can press Q to quit the tool, the translate tool, and the Z to come back to the object mode. So Z can be used for toggling object and component mode. I think so. This is very, very simple way to interact with Maya, and I think so. It's a very powerful way to do that. Very good. For delete an object, I can use cans. As you can see, I can move my view. So you can do that by using the Alt keyboard button and your 3 mouse buttons. So you can use the left, the center, and and the right mouse button. If you're using Alt and left mouse button, you can rotate your camera. If you use your left Alt and middle mouse button, you can pan your view. And if you use the right mouse button with the Alt, you can have the back and forth movement of the camera. So I think so it's very simple. You can continue to press Alt keyboard, Alt button in the keyboard and the mouse button to have access to that. And remember, Alt key is the key for driving a lot of things inside of the UI interfaces of Maya, and in particular to May9. Very good. But how Maya works? Maya works and is based on the Node. Is a software based on Node. So what this mean? What this is mean? An object is created from a lot of elements. These elements are particular piece of code programming can give to an object a view. So, for example, if I press Z, middle mouse button, go to Node and create again a cube for inside. If you want to create a regular cube, right? You can need to use a shift and dragging. And what are the elements that component to this cube? There is a lot of elements to do that. But how you can see that? You need to use Alt-3. Alt-3 open a layout. What's a layout is? A layout is a combination of window inside of Maya. I'm using this one for Alt-3 for entering in perspective view and inside of my node editor. From node editor I can simply look what the elements are composing my object. So I select my cube shape and I'm using this button. This button is really important, so that's let me show the input and output connection. So what are the elements connected to this object? I can do that by using Z and release, by using this contextual key. As you can see, I can drive inside of my elements and show what elements are connected to. For example, my Lambert is connected to initial shading group, it's gray, and the initial particles SE. So I can press initial shading group Z, and I have another partition, for example, that's let me what shader are connected, or I can create selecting again my object, make my mouse over the node editor and press Z again, and I can have the construction of this object. This object is created by using a polycube. This polycube node is give the property shape to these elements by give the depth 8 in centimeter. So if I want to have 12 centimeter width cube and 10 centimeter 8 cube, and I want to a depth of 20 centimeter, I can do that from there, but because I use this node, or it's a polygonal fashion, this node give the information that the object is a polygonal object, and from here I have my shading group. So what's the shading group is that where the color, the shade of the object are stored. So if I use that, press Z and release, as you can see, I can have access to my Lambert. Lambert is the actual material, so it's very difficult to work with Lambert here. Or yes, of course, I can do that. For example, color air.5, I want to my more reddish, I can go and give the element 1, I can go 0 and 0 to have a perfect red object, but it's not the best way to have access to this tool. So in Maya you can use Ctrl A to have access to attribute editor. What attribute editor is? Attribute editor is a graphical interfaces for have access to the node, and from here you can see I have the slider to change the luminosity of my color, or I can select this point and select a color from a color picker. So it's absolutely better way to do that instead of the channel box. But sometimes it's better using channel box because it's more is more compact and give you the most essential functionality of this element. Or you can use the attribute editor for do the same, basically the same thing. But remember, in the attribute editor you have a lot more option that in the channel box. Very good. So this is very important for me. This is the heart of Maya. So I have 3 levels of depth. The first level of depth is the sheen. Here I have the list of the object inside of the sheen. Here I have the elements that compose the object I have selected. And here in the channel box and in the attribute editor I have the parameter for that object. If you think about Maya in this way, I think so you have access to whole functionality of Maya. Very good. Alright, I want to close this video by showing you another important thing. I already have show you how to move the object, how to move the camera, with the soft selection tool, with the tools, have access to the component of the contextual way to work with. But there is another way to work in Maya. There is a more deep way to do that. For example, sometimes I have access to direct elements, or I can not have all elements from this contextual menu. This contextual menu are created for give you more speed in the work inside of Maya, of course. So it's not contain all the elements of the Maya. How you can entering in all the menu inside of Maya? You need to use the hotbox. Hotbox is what is the menu appear when you continue to press the space button. Now I can continue to press my space button, and from here I have my hotbox. Hotbox contain all the menu. In this line, the first line is for the generic menu. You can save, modify, display, change the windows, and so on, and go and so on so far. In the second line, you have the actual window menu. So for example, I have in my viewport, in this view, shading are this line, are the menu or this window. If I go and hold 3 and have access to my node editor, from here I can show edit view bookmarks. As you can see, they change when I am over the viewport and when I over on my node editor, for example. Very good. From here you have the command of the recent elements you have used, and from here you have the hotbox control. This is a preference of the whole box itself. From the Maya you can have access to some predefined layout, and from here you have modeling menu, skinning and rigging menu, animate menu. From here you have effects menu and particle fluids, the physics menu, and from here you have the rendering menu, the lighting, texturing, so on and so forth. So if you can't work with by using the contextual way to interact by using press Z, use the left or middle mouse button, you can directly have access by using the hotbox. But look at that. If I want to switch between a single layout to multiple layout, I can press and release the space fast. So you can see for an instance, you can show you the hotbox, but after that you can go into the window you have the mouse. So this is very important. Now I have mouse on my viewport, press space, I can show on full screen the viewport. But if I move the mouse over the node editor, press space and release, I have access to my node editor. And this is very fast way to do that. If I can select my tree tool, I can press Z, I have my nodes. From here I can, for example, select type. As you can see from the attribute editor, for example, I can change my type. I think so. Really, this is very important. If you entering in this way to work, the nodes and the attribute editor, you have access to all Maya functionality. For closing this overview of how you can use Maya, I want to show you just a little bit, the last thing for this time. I want to show you viewport, the layout I have configured for May9. If you press Alt 1, you have the classical 4-view interaction: the best view, the top view, the front view, and the side view. If you use Alt 2, you have access to Hypershade mode and the viewport. So Hypershade is when I can create, it's really similar to Node Editor, but from here I can create my shader. Shader is the fashion I see, the property of the material of the surface of an object. And if you see here, I have the standard Lambert, or for example this type shader. I can use my Z again, of course, in this area too. So it is open in the attribute editor. I can change my parameter for my shader. From Hypershade, I have the texture tab, utility tab. This is other node, and the ability to show the browser. The browser show me what element I already have to create some new shader, for example, an ocean shader. And for beans are a group, so I can put an elements inside of a group. I can give it a name, so on and so far. So very simple. I can now view these elements in as like a group. I can go back into browser menu. So I have Alt 2. I will show you. Alt 2 is this is Hypershade. Alt 3 is for Node Editor. Alt 4 give you the UV texture editor, so you can edit your UV. Your V is a planar projection of the object for drawing, for create the texture mapping. If we show you again what I showed before, press Z, left mouse button, brushes, 3D paint, middle mouse button, assign edit texturing. And now I drawing on my object. Sorry, I want to drawing the color, paint color, and assign to the color the texture. Yeah, great. As you can see now, if I drawing here, you can see in the position of the UV where I drawing, and this is a very interesting way to do that, and I think so is very useful. Alt 5, you have access to animation, a graph animation editor. So from here, how you can animate an object inside of my, it's very simple. If I press W and find a position, now I am in this time of the time, and I am in the point 1. Press S save the current selection position. So now I can go over in the scene, say, go over in the time. I can go and positioning my object in another position. Press S again. As you can see, I have my curve, animation curve. From here I can moving by using middle mouse, selecting by using left mouse button, and moving by middle mouse button the position of the key. Can change the angle of the key by using middle mouse button again. Oh, sorry, I have a select, for example, look at that, the scale of the object. I change the scale of the object by is animation curve. Very fast, very simple. I can add a key frame by using S again, or I can moving in forward and backward time by using the key button. So this is very interesting. If you continue to press K button of your keyboard, you can moving in the time, dragging the time during the time, back and forth, and that's it. I can press Alt 6 to have access to blend shape editor. What's blend shape are? Blend shape are the ability to change the shape of an object by the alternative modeling of that object. I can create a new scene in this case. How you can create a blend shape inside of my, very simple, Z, middle mouse button. I want to create a sphere, Ctrl D for duplicate, Control D to duplicate again. So now I have two elements. Now I press Z to enter in the vertex mode. I already have the symmetry. I want to disable the symmetry, so I can press Z, middle mouse button, go to node, disable the symmetry. Now I can press a vertex mode for entering a vertex. In this case, I have used the standard right mouse button menu and can model in this one in this way. I can select this other one, press Z, press this element and dragging out. So as you can see, I have these two elements. Now I can select one object. I use my shift button to add these elements and to add these elements. These two elements are now driving these objects. So I press Z, left mouse button to have access enter to object contextual way to work, and under deformers, blend shape, create blend shape. So now I can press Alt and 6, and from here I have the ability to moving this one. Of course, if I go under Alt and using the tree, you can see now my blend shape have a lot of connection, and as you can see here, these two elements, these two objects driving the blend shape, but the blend shape driving the shape here. And so because this connection are live, I can change the vertex position, and if I continue back to my 6, and now I give more weight to this change and come back to Alt 3, as you can see everything continue flowed, and press vertex again, change again, or B to change this position. Sorry for that. And using my this is the angle, I will show the object. So great. As you can see here, now I can moving and can change my elements. Very powerful way to do that. I think so. Yes, I think this is very useful. Alright, Alt 7, you can have access to the weight of the components. Here you have a lot of information about what are connected and what are for example, the position of a vertex. If I select a vertex, as you can see, it gives me its information, and from this menu, this is component editor. From component editor, you can edit the component by, for example, changing the position of this element by using directly number manipulation of this object. I think so. This is very important. Or you can drive a smooth skin weight or another elements inside of Maya. For example, the smooth skin, one of most important. If I create again the sphere, for example, for space, I go in the side view and I want to create join. Join can drive a structure. I can drive an object, so I can press my Z, middle mouse button, and I can go under the rigging menu, join tools, create joints. And I can drive these elements. This is element that can drive the shape of an object. So if I press 4 on my keyboard, as you can see, I have my wireframe mode, and press 5 to come back in the shade mode, in 3D solid mode. So I press 4 and I can select my joint, I select my base joint, I select my object by using the shift, and I can press Z to create a skin cluster. What skin cluster is? Skin cluster is a way to manipulate an object by using this controller. So I press this controller, W, for have access to the position, or for example I select this object, E for have access to rotate mode. So as you can see here, I can rotate my joint and deform my object. So if I come back to the component editor, by selecting my object, Alt 7, and the smooth skin, you can see, sorry for that. All right. Why I cannot see these weight elements inside of the sorry for that. From here, you probably from smooth skin, you need to see the sorry, I need to select my vertex. Sorry for that. If I select, for example, this vertex in the bottom of the sorry for that. In the bottom of the model, you can see how much joint 1, joint 2, joint 3, joint 1, joint 2, joint 3 are deforming these objects. So much weight you have, much the number go near to 1, and more control you have from these elements. For example, if I select this vertex here, B, to disable soft selection, as you can see, these vertices are driven by 100% from this bottom joint. But if I select these another elements here, this vertex is driving from 1 and 2 in some 15-15 mode, like really near to 50-50. Another way to and then press 5. Another way to have and change the weight of joints inside of Maya is use the paint skin joint tool. So press Z, left mouse button, go to the north, paint skin weight tool, and from here you have, when you have very yellow, you have the 100% attraction from joint 1. When you have red, you have middle attraction. When you have black, you have less attraction. So around near 0 attraction. So I can change my joint. For example, joint 2 are around 115% around of all model, and joint 3 have around 5% weight on only on the top. So these two joints have the 50 distribute the weight of the top in exactly a middle way. Great. Yeah, good. I think that this is enough. Right. This let you give a good overview of all my elements. So I hope you find this really useful, and I hope you find this way to work very very powerful work to wait. So I want to give you a good day, and bye.